Adam was only 12 when he walked into Greenfield Middle School for the first time, carrying a backpack that seemed heavier than it should, and a heart filled with quiet hope that maybe, just maybe, this new beginning would be kinder to him than the last. What most of his classmates did not know was that Adam's life had been torn apart 4 years earlier in a car accident that took his right leg. The accident left scars that could not be seen, the kind that made him look down at the floor when others laughed too loudly, the kind that made him practice walking in front of the mirror at night just to see if he looked normal. He had spent months in the hospital, months in therapy, and years learning how to balance on the prosthetic leg that clicked and tapped with every step he took. His parents reassured him that he was strong, that he was brave, but Adam knew from the stares in public places that being different always drew attention, and attention was not what he wanted. When he entered the classroom on that first morning, the sound of his prosthesis hitting the floor echoed in the room louder than any voice, louder than any laughter, and he knew instantly that the others had noticed. At first, the whispers were small, almost harmless, but children often notice weakness the way birds notice crumbs, and before long the teasing became sharper, louder, and more direct. Some called him robot leg, others dragged one leg behind them in the hall to mock his walk, and a few thought it was funny to ask if his leg would fall off if they kicked it hard enough. Gym class was the worst. The coach's well-meaning encouragement to give Adam a chance only made things worse as kids groaned that he would slow them down or ruin their team. Every insult felt like a stone being added to a bag he had to carry, and soon Adam stopped trying to fight back. He ate lunch alone, walked the halls with his head low, and went home each day pretending to his parents that everything was fine, because he could not bear to see pity in their eyes. But silently, the loneliness wrapped tighter around him like a chain, making him believe that maybe he really was broken, maybe he really did not belong. Then there was Emma. She was not the most popular girl in school, nor the loudest, but she was the kind of person who noticed things others ignored. She noticed the way Adam's knuckles turned white when kids laughed at him, the way his shoulders curled inward as though he was trying to disappear, and the way his eyes held back words he was too afraid to say. While others pointed out his differences, Emma saw his strength in simply showing up every day despite the cruelty. And one afternoon in gym class, when teams were being chosen for soccer, she noticed more than ever. The moment Adam was left standing alone while the others argued not to take him, his face turned red, and he shifted uncomfortably, as though he wished the ground would swallow him whole. Before the teacher could speak, Emma stepped forward and said firmly, "I'll take Adam. He's on my team." The laughter paused, the smirks faded into confusion, and Adam looked at her with wide eyes that asked silently if she was serious. She nodded and smiled as though she had just chosen the strongest player in the room. That was the first time anyone had chosen him, not out of pity, not because they had to, but because they wanted to, and in that moment, something in Adam's chest stirred. A fragile seed of hope that maybe not everyone hated him. Emma's kindness did not stop there. She began sitting beside him at lunch, ignoring the whispers of others who wondered why she bothered. She asked him about his favorite books, laughed at his quiet jokes, and defended him when others made remarks. Once, when a boy kicked Adam's prosthetic leg and shouted, "Does it hurt when you lose a screw?" Emma shot back, "At least Adam has the guts to walk into school every day after everything he's been through. What's your excuse?" The boy turned red, and for the first time, Adam saw a bully silenced on his behalf. Slowly, Adam began to trust her. He shared little bits of his life, the story of the accident, the long months of learning to walk again, the nights he cried because he hated the way people stared at him. Emma listened without pity, but with admiration, telling him that most kids could never survive what he had endured. "You don't even realize how strong you are," she said one day, and Adam, for the first time, allowed himself to believe that maybe she was right. The effect of Emma's actions rippled outward. Other classmates began to notice that Adam was not just the boy with the prosthesis, but someone who was smart, funny, and brave. A few who had once laughed at him started sitting at his table. Some apologized for their cruelty, awkwardly at first, but sincerely. The shift did not happen overnight, but day by day Adam found himself less alone. The boy who once walked with his eyes glued to the floor began lifting his head, meeting gazes, and even smiling. The prosthesis, once a source of shame, slowly became less of a burden and more of a reminder that he had survived what many could not. The true turning point came with the school talent show. Emma encouraged Adam to participate, but he resisted. "I can't," he said, shaking his head. "Everyone will laugh." But Emma was firm. "Not if you show them who you really are. Stop hiding. You have a story no one else does." Her words stayed with him, echoing louder than the fear in his chest, and eventually Adam agreed. On the night of the show, he walked onto the stage, the lights blinding, the silence heavy, his heart hammering in his ears. He began with a trembling voice, telling the audience about the accident, the pain, the prosthesis, and the cruelty he faced every day. He spoke about feeling broken and invisible, and then he spoke about finding courage, about how kindness from one person gave him the strength to keep going. At first, there were whispers in the crowd, but as his voice grew stronger, as his words became sharper, the room quieted into rapt attention, and when he finished, there was silence for a beat, followed by an eruption of applause. Some stood on their feet, clapping until the room shook. Adam looked out and saw Emma beaming with pride, and for the first time in years he felt seen. Not as the boy with a prosthesis, but as Adam, resilient, brave, and whole. From that night on, everything changed. Teachers praised him for his courage. Classmates greeted him in the hall with respect rather than mockery, and Adam himself discovered a confidence he never knew he had. He joined the debate club, volunteered to help younger students, and even started speaking openly about bullying, encouraging others not to stay silent when they saw cruelty. Emma remained his closest friend, the one who first believed in him when no one else did, and together they showed their classmates that kindness, even in small doses, has the power to change lives. Adam's story spread beyond the walls of Greenfield Middle School. Parents told it to their children, teachers shared it in classrooms, and it became a reminder that cruelty may be common, but courage and compassion are stronger. Looking back, Adam realized that his life could have followed a much darker path had Emma not chosen to stand by him that day in gym class. She did not end bullying in the world, but she ended it for him, and in doing so, she lit a flame that inspired others. The lesson was simple yet profound. One act of kindness can ripple outward to change everything. Adam no longer hated his prosthesis.